What is the messaging that creates the fastest path to impact, to profits, to your best fit high-end coaching clients, to sales, to simple high-ticket sales, to natural high-ticket sales, the path that supports clients to raise their hand, ask for the sale, and then sell themselves into the offer? One of the things that I share with women in the Prosperous Room all the time, especially women coaches, is this. Sales, it's not just about how to sell, what script. In fact, throw the scripts out, throw the strategies out that you've learned. What is God saying to you about the work He has called you to do? What is God saying to you about the people that He has blessed you to work with? The people who have been praying for that outcome in their career, in their life, in their relationship, in their business, in their health. What is God's voice saying to you, in you? What is God doing through you for them? You see, when it comes to online coaching businesses, we like to look outside of ourselves for the next strategy. What is that person doing? What is that? How can we get part of that market share? How can we compete with them to be 99% better than them? No, God didn't ask you to do all that. That's a distraction from your life's work. Your messaging is 90% of sales. Your marketing is only 10%. But in the coaching world, we focus on marketing, the tactics. I'm going to show up on TikTok. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. What's your strategy for messaging? How do you show up in a way that supports the offer to sell? That supports the person who wants the offer to buy it, the person who wants to move fast without any excuses. How do we do that? Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Moms in Sales. There are certain factors that I invite clients to consider when they are midwifing their gifts before they create the offer and identify who they're going to be working with. That's where messaging comes in. That's where sales comes in, before all of the offer suites, before all the formulas and strategies and scripts and all the nonsense, before all the distractions from your life's work. And I invite you to consider this today too in your coaching business. It doesn't matter if you're making 8 figures, 7 figures, 6 figures. Every coach that I've worked with has the same empty feeling, no matter how big their bank account is. The feeling that only God can feel. So let's cut the BS out. What is most important to your client? And why is it important to her? What is most valuable about the result that you have to your client? And why is it valuable? What does she care about the most about that outcome, and why does she care about it? What does she value the most about that result, and why? What does she know that it's going to do for her that her life doesn't already have, that her business doesn't already have, that her relationship doesn't already have? What does she believe about that result and the role it's going to play in her life over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And what is the why underneath her why? Not your why. The why underneath her why for wanting that outcome result in her business or career or whatever. I work with a lot of clients who work with people who want to lose weight. And because there's this generic weight loss messaging out there in the world for mass appeal, which is fit into your skinny jeans, or fit into your black dress, your skinny black dress, or go on vacation and put on the jeans you love, or wear a bikini, or whatever the crappy messaging is when it comes to weight loss. They all have this generic messaging. And I was working with a client, and I said to her, what is most important to your client about losing these 50 pounds? And she goes, well, she just wants to be healthy. Yeah, who doesn't? What is most valuable to her? And then after going underneath all of the whys of her clients, after speaking to her and actually coaching her, she realized, oh, I came at this the wrong way. This is why she's not getting results. This is why it's so hard to coach. This is why it feels like I'm pulling teeth when I'm attracting clients. All her client wanted was for her husband of 15 years to see her the way he did on their wedding night, so she can be comfortable having sex with him without being in the dark. She can look at herself in the mirror and love herself. And she thought, if my husband looks at me that way, then my life will be better. But for my husband to see me that way, I need to lose 50 pounds. And so if your messaging is not speaking to that, she can't see you. And then my client had to determine. And she said to me, well, Mimi, that's just mindset. Yeah. Well, how are you going to sell mindset to her? So when you know her why, You understand what she wants, why she wants it, and how it's going to change her life. You infuse that into your offer and into your messaging. So you speak directly to her heart. So in the sea of coaches all talking about weight loss, all talking about relationships, all talking about all the crap, you stand out because for the first time she says, oh my God, how did you know that? Everybody's talking about getting to a bikini and getting to your skinny jeans and go to your high school reunion. How did you see me? How did you hear me? How did you get in my head? That is the messaging that sells a $100,000 coaching offer. Not the crappy mass appeal stuff everybody's saying that's fluffy, that appeals to everyone. You need to get real specific to the person, because when specificity supports you to be the best coach, specificity supports you to stand out in a sea of obvious coaches. Specificity supports the client to raise her hand, ask for the sale. When you send the email out and say, oh my God, I want to work with you. You're speaking directly to me. How do you know? Have you been hiding in the bathroom when I step out of the bathtub, and I can't look in the mirror? Have you been hiding in my thoughts where I think, if he can only see me the way he saw me on my wedding night, I can love myself again? What is most important to your client? So put down your profit goals for a minute, your impact goals for a minute. There is no impact if you're not impacting the person that God sent you here to work with. If you're busy working with everybody else that you're not supposed to be working with, lowering your prices, playing tiny, diluting your message to fit everybody else, you're not doing the work God called you to do. That's not impact. That's just you making money and profits. And that's a disservice and a distraction from your life's work. So when it comes to messaging, focus on those factors. Invite yourself to think about that, ponder that as you write your message, as you think about who you're working with. How can you be so loud and clear in your message that it repels everybody else that just wants a bikini? It repels everybody else that just wants to go to the high school reunion. How can you speak to this woman? How can you see her so that when she hears your message and she's driving from Connecticut to DC for 4 hours, she downloads your podcast for 4 hours and you in her ears, and she stops the car and cries? Because for the first time, she's like, oh my God, for the first time, I feel seen, I feel validated, I feel heard. For the first time, I feel like somebody cares about how I feel, and not how many millions they made last month or how many thousands of dollars they made last week. For the first time, my coach cares about what I want and why I want it and how it's important to me and what transformation is going to happen in my life because of it, and what my next 5, 10, 15 years are going to be because of this. That's messaging. And that's what we do in the Prosperous Womb. Not the BS that everybody else is sharing out there. That gets you likability. That gets people to follow you. That gets you comments, but it doesn't get them to buy the $100,000 coaching offer. When women come to the Prosperous Woman and say to me, I don't think I'm qualified to sell $100,000. No, it's not that you're not qualified. You're not willing to say the thing that needs to be said to the one person it needs to be said to, because you want people to like you. You don't want to build the support and the trust that your client needs to trust herself to say yes to herself for the first time, because now the thing she put on a pedestal is available to her. So my challenge to any woman coach who says, I'm a high-ticket coach, I'm selling high-ticket coaching offers, or I have 1 million followers, screw the followers and do the work that God has called you here to do. If you're a partner with God, don't be a hypocrite. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Be the one that does the 1% work. Let the 99% do what they're doing. Don't worry about, the Ritz-Carlton does not worry about what the Holiday Inn is doing. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and do the thing that God has called you to do, and you'll be rewarded for that with your time, your freedom, your money, everything. That's how you simplify your life and your business and be the grown woman who walks by faith and not by sight, repels who's not for the offer, and attracts the people that she's here to work with. That's the messaging that sells.